So what I want you to do is when you're reading the text, you want to take the whole as a whole, right? So the corset, hoops, and high heels were blank, right? Because of the corset, hoops, and high heels, the ballerinas were banned. Okay. In the next sentence, however, this changed with the invention of pointed shoe. Ballerinas became ethereal beings who soar effortlessly across the state, right? So idea number one, their gear caused them to be banned. Idea number two, this ban changed because of the pointed shoe, which helped them soar. Okay. So how can we characterize the corsets, hoops, and high heels?
As Natsuch.
No, soar means to fly.
تمام.
Soar means not soar like S-O-R-E. Soar, yani, to fly in the air. So they're banned because of the corsets, hoops, and high heels. However, that changed with the invention of the pointed shoe, which helped them soar through the air.
So basically عايزين كلمة معناها إنها بتخليهم يتحركوا بالعافية.
Yes.
مش دي وباقي مش عارفه.
And this is why we want to build our vocabulary, right? Because it's expected the difficulty to continue going up in the digital SAT, right? Cumbersome, maladroit, disheveled. Why don't you look them up? I won't tell you. I won't be a shortcut, right?
Okay.
Take your time, unless you have a problem looking them up.
I would have a problem in few minutes بس ماشي. My phone is gonna die here.
Bardu, are you on your phone or on laptop?
لا, I'm using laptop for the class, but I'm using the phone to translate.
Raneem, pay attention to the class times, بعد إذنك. I would appreciate it a lot.
It's not C.
Okay. So cumbersome means
C.
they're.
It's not C, so it's A or B.
Yeah, cumbersome means heavy. Maladroit means unskilled. Disheveled means like sloppy. Okay,
Yes.
so again, idea number one, I want you to be able to put these ideas together, right? So idea number one, well, it's telling us that these corsets, hoops, and high heels banned ballerinas because of blank. Idea number two, the pointed shoe changed all of this because it made them move effortlessly. So we need a contrast to effortlessly, right? Which one would it be? Again, cumbersome means heavy. I'm still making videos for these study videos. Maladroit means unskilled. Disheveled means sloppy. So which one would work best? Good job, Mr. Berra. What about you, Mrs. Raneem? We would say answer A, cumbersome. So you came a little late, Raneem. So let's go to the next question. Okay. You thought wrong, my friend. Look at this now. Again, think of the message. If you don't know the meanings of the words, feel free to look them up. Our job is to build our vocabulary, not test you on which word works best. This is not easy, nor will it ever be easy. No, Mr. Berra. What is the meaning of that word, Mr. Berra? Okay, Ranim and Berra, before we begin looking at the meanings of the words, the first thing we need is the message of the text, because the word that fits here is the word that completes the message. What is the message here? No, not non-fictional. No, not non-fictional. I'll give you a hint, right? So ballet dancers' heavy corsets, hoops, and heels prevented them from starring before the 19th century. Because the invention of the pointed toe shoe, ballerinas are thought to be ethereal beings that glide over the stage with ease. So ballets began to feature tales of nymphs and elves. Why did ballets become tales of nymphs and elves? Because ballerinas were able to glide over the stage, showing off their blank costumes and lithe bodies. What is the meaning? Look at this right here, and lithe. So and tells us this word and lithe are the same meaning. Blank and lithe. So what is the meaning of lithe? If you know the meaning of this, then you know the meaning of the word we want. What is the meaning of lithe? Tell me. Look it up. Feel free. We're building our vocabulary. I'm not testing you on words. It's not a test. So it means something like thin. Correct, Mrs. Ranim? It means something like thin. So we need a word that's equal or similar to thin. So which word does that? What does that mean, Mr. Berra? Okay. Dulcet, Mrs. Ranim, means melodious. Did you look up the meanings or no? Meretricious, I think it means negative. Diaphanous means light or slim. Brittle means weak. Now, again, now that you know the meanings of these words, which word fits the message of the text? The text is telling us that they used to be heavy. Now that they're able to glide on stage, and because they're able to glide on stage, you can have stories about nymphs and elves, and these costumes show their lithe bodies, right? They're thin bodies. So which word fits the context? So it's not A, dulcet. Well, again, we're not talking about melodious bodies. We're not saying anything about that. We're not talking about meretricious. One second, Mr. Berra. Why? It's nothing overly negative. It's diaphanous, right? Because now they have light bodies. Their bodies are light. And because their bodies are light, they are able to glide over the stage. They are able to show off their slim figures in their costumes. Go ahead, Mr. Berra.
I mean, I thought it in another way عشان يعني أنا قلت إن elves وكده فقلت إنها fictional customs أو
But
cheerful.
you're trapping yourself only here. It's the message of the full text. On the digital SAT, they give you a full text for a reason. They tell you, choose the most precise word to complete the meaning of the text. So all of those words can fit, but not all of them finish the meaning or complete the meaning. So we need to think at a higher level.
But I mean if I chose C كده أنا بكرر يعني معنى كده موجود أصلا يعني.
No, lithe means slim, diaphanous means light. Something light does not mean it's slim. Something slim does not mean it's light.
Okay.
Like a balloon. Is a balloon slim?
No.
No, but it's light. Can we agree on that? Another problem you're having, Mr. Berra, you keep on being extreme, right? If it's this, then all of it is like this. Number 3, again, think of the message. And then you'll be able to think of the answer. Okay, Mr. Berra, what about you, Mrs. Raneem? Time is knocking down. Well, how does that fit, Mrs. Raneem? What is the text telling us? Feel free to use the mic. What is the text telling us about the teenagers and their spending? Because this means moderation. So some inferences here that we're making, right? Perhaps unsurprisingly, a recent study showed that teens in the US spend a blank amount of money on clothing. In fact, so here we are emphasizing the previous idea. Clothing accounts for 20% of all teen spending. So what can we say about their spending? We can say that they're spending a lot. So we want a word that indicates something like a large amount, right? Temperate shows me moderation. 20% of spending on clothing is quite a lot. It's a very large amount, right? So I wouldn't say they're spending a moderate amount of money, right? You know, nebulous means hazy or something that is unclear. Ignominious, I think this means something like crazy, or not crazy, unheedful, right? Extremely, a lot. It's too strong of a word. It's more like conspicuous. Conspicuous means a significant amount, right? So teens are spending a significant amount of money. Significant means something noticeable, something, that strikes the eye. Okay, let's go to the next one. So Mrs. Ranin, when we're choosing an answer, we need to think about, well, what is the message first before you think of an answer choice? If you don't know the meanings of the words, feel free to use a dictionary. Okay, what is the message here of the text? I'm going to keep asking you this before you send me an answer. What is the text telling us about detecting storms? What is this telling us? What does that mean? Mr. Berra, what is it telling us about detecting storms? That there is no clear sign of tornadoes, and that although radar can detect it, radar is not enough. So what do we need? So this radar, it can detect the storm, correct? But it's telling us this radar is not enough. طيب تمام. What else do we need other than radar? We also need witness. Witness إيه بقى? You're telling me approbation, Mr. Berra. What is the meaning of approbation? It just means acceptance. No, we're talking about detecting a storm. We're talking about, well, we can detect storms with radar, but radar is not enough. We also need something else. We need witnesses. So which word means two things working together? Okay. What about you, Mrs. Ranin? Good. Reciprocity means an exchange, right? Give and take. Well, no, it's corroboration. Do you see how you have to work with these? These are 2B level vocabulary questions. So corroboration means two things working together to confirm something for you. Incursion means invasion. Okay, let's go to the next question. Number 5. Before you think of an answer, you need to think of the message. Summarize the information like what I'm doing with you right now. Okay? Look at this. Why don't you guys read it? Before you think of an answer, think of the message. Tell me what you want. Tell me, what does the text require? What does that mean, Mr. Berra? Mr. Berra, right now we're using a dictionary, so we should know the meanings of these words, right? Ordinary. Okay. What is the message of the text? What is the text telling us, Redeem? What is the text telling us about Richard III and the evidence of Richard III? Go, Mr. Berra.
that he wasn't actually a villain بس شكسبير يعني that that was ثانية كده شكسبير عملوا كده عشان كان في political motivation.
Okay. Okay, cool. So Richard was not a villain, right? Richard was not really a villain. Instead, Shakespeare portrayed Richard as a villain because of political motivations. So how would we describe the evidence against Richard? What would you say about the evidence against Richard being a villain?
biased.
For example, something like biased. We know the evidence is no good. Now we need a word that completes that meaning, that shows us this evidence is unreliable. Which answer does that? You see, Mrs. Raneem, when you understand your Raneem, the message, you understand the answer. What I need you to do, and you can write me A, B, C, D, ala fikra. What I need you to do is work on getting the message first. Okay, Mr. Berra, it's tenuous. What is the meaning of tenuous? It means unsupported, unreliable. Okay, let's go to number 6.
I thought he was talking about Richard himself مش not the evidence.
We're talking about the evidence. Okay. Think of cause and effect here. Where are you guys going? Downstairs and stuff? Okay. You can take your ball with you? Is that number 6, Mr. Barra? No, sir. Okay. What is the message here? Cause and effect. If I take kids, I keep them in the house for the week, what's going to happen to those kids? Good job, Mrs. Ranim. If I take kids, I lock them in the house. No, they're not going to be introverted. If I take kids and I trap them in a house, and it's just me and my kids in my house, just us for the whole week, they're not allowed to leave. They're going to become bored, right? They're going to become bored. And what happens when kids become bored? They become restless. Boorish means rude. Phlegmatic means calm. Gregarious means friendly. Restive means restless. Our answer is D. If they're trapped in a room, cause and effect is inferred. If they're trapped in a room, eventually the kids will become restless. They're going to be hopping around, needing to release that energy. Let's go to the next one. Number 7, think of the message. Think about what's being said about Sony. We've taken a week-long break, Mr. Barra. We will after we finish these 3 questions. Don't overlook it, please. What's being said about Sony? Okay. What is this is reading, by the way, Mr. Barra, right? I'm asking you simple comprehension questions. Sony failed in a business, right? They failed with the rice cooker. However, they still, in the end, they still are a successful company. Why? Because blank is more important than foresight, right? Foresight in launching a new enterprise. So blank, question mark right here, is more important than foresight. Foresight means being able to see the future, being able to see the future in this market. So what would work best? Tenacity, presumption, sophistry, frugal. Which one of these indicates in business this is just as important as your ability to identify trends in the market? So what is the meaning of tenacity? Right? Presumption, sophistry, frugal. Let's go, Mr. Berra. What about you, Mrs. Raneem? What do you think? Which word would work here? Thank you, Mrs. Raneem. When you know the meanings of the words, it gets easier. When you know the meaning of the message, it gets easier. So here, tenacity works best because determination or hard work are just as crucial as the ability to foresee the future market. A couple more questions. Question number 8. Look at this. What is the message about the victims? The study of victimology. I'll give you 40 more seconds. Welcome, Mr. Abdullah. Why do I have to message you to get your butt in class? Why I gotta do that for though? Twenty seconds. Hear me out. I'm gonna hear you out. I'm gonna hear you out and I'm gonna hear you in. Time. Oh, buddy, nobody's telling me the message. The study of victimology can be fraught with controversy, particularly regarding the concept of victim precipitation. So we're talking about a controversy right now, a problem, okay, in the study of victimology, especially with victim precipitation, okay? Maybe I don't know what that means. This phenomena arises when a victim's behavior catches the notice of an attacker. Okay, so the victim or how the victim acts attracts attackers. While research into victim identity and actions aims to mitigate criminal behavior, aims to reduce criminal behavior, some view the language used in these studies as culpable towards the victim and potentially. So this is right here is telling us that these studies show us that the victim is to blame, right? That these studies show us that the victim is culpable, right? So you're a victim of a crime. It's how you act that attracts criminals towards the victim and potentially blank the crime. So if you blame the victim, what do you do with the criminal? If you blame the victim, right? What do we say about the criminal? We're saying the criminal is not at fault. It is not the criminal's fault that they rob, cheat, or steal. It's the victim's fault. That's what the text is telling us. And that's why there's controversy, right? So, which answer shows us or it tells us that it is not the criminal's fault, it's the victim's fault? which answer completes the idea that there is a controversy, right? Thank you, Mrs. Raneem. When Raneem hears the message, she knows the answer. The trick is by Raneem to know the message being stated, right? It's condone. When you condone the crime, you're saying it's not the criminal's fault, it's the victim's fault. When you condone the crime, you're saying that the victim is to blame. Came back 4 hours, I slept, and I thought that the period is 4 to 5, not 3. صباح الورد. Yeah, 4 hours. كل شوية حد ينام لي 4 hours. Somebody's always blaming me with 4 hours. Number 9. Look at this. Think about the message. You have 90 seconds. I expect better. You're not thinking about the message first. Step 1, think of the message. Step 2, think of the answer. It's not just the answer. We don't go by how it sounds or what it looks like. We go by which one completes the overall message of the text. Well, I'm happy you're still alive, Abdullah. Wow. Sounds like you've been going through a lot. Time. How would you describe the story of Orpheus? Good, Vera. How would you describe the story of Orpheus? It's a story about love. How do we know it's a story about love? Because he goes to the underworld to resurrect his cherished, his loved Eurydice. Okay. So how would we describe the story? Would we describe it as droll, poignant, maudlin, or incongruous? Would describe it as, it's a love story, right? Incongruous means unequal. You heard of congruent triangles? Incongruent means unequal. So it can't be answer D. Maudlin, poignant, or droll. Droll means boring. You're either left with B or C, and it's B, poignant. Poignant means it is an emotional story. Number 10. Come on, guys. What can we say about the sloth and physical exertion? What can we say about the sloth and physical exertion? What does the text tell us about the sloth and physical exertion? They don't work, they don't give physical exertion, right? Because they need to sustain or preserve their strength, correct? The food they eat offers minimal energy, which makes them required to preserve its strength. Which answer shows us that they do not physically exert themselves? Abstains from, inveigh against, wean themselves off, or support for. Okay, Mr. Abdullah. Not D or C. What about you, Mrs. Raneem? Abstains from. When you abstain from something, that means you stay away. A few minutes left. We can start the reading right now, and you guys are going to finish this reading homework, mixed evidence number 4, module 2A for homework. No excuses, please.
That vocab was pretty hard.
Come on now. Maybe like 3 or 4 of them were very difficult. But other than that, come on now. What you talking about, bruv?
I mean, the words were hard too. I mean, not just the yeah, even if the context was
No, the
easy.
words. No. I'm not gonna accept that excuse. I'm not gonna accept the excuse. Those are words we actually do need to know. Those are high school level, first year college level words. A few of them. No, you're right. But that's a minority, an overwhelming
We
minority.
are a minority too.
If you're trying to do, Ivy League, these are words that you need to know. All right, check this out. Remember, mixed evidence time. When you choose an answer, it needs to be supported in the text. We just don't choose an answer because we feel like it's the answer. When we choose an answer, it's clear and directly supported in the text. Let's get this party started. Good, Vera. What about the rest of the gang? What about Raneem? We need to know what's being said here, right? So here, lava tube caves form because molten lava has little silica to give it structure, so it flows like a river. So imagine, use your imagination. We have lava and it flows in the cave. It makes like a little tube, right? It makes a tube, right? It becomes hard, it makes tube. As the lava moves away from the source, the surface cools into a crust that insulates lava below. So now, I guess it insulates or protects the lava below. This is lava, right? This is the lava. And then the lava inside the crust continues to flow so that when this eruption ends, there's a hollow cavity like a straw. So inside this tube is like something hollow, right, Mr. Abdullah? No, right? And then at first the caves are sterile because of the intense heat at first. So because of the heat from the lava, in the beginning, they are sterile. And what does sterile mean? No life, right? Nothing. However, the caves offer scientists an exciting glimpse into what life might be like on other planets because. So we need to think about this. The lava makes a tube and the tube has a hole inside and it's so hot that there's no life. However, at first, there's no life. However, later on, scientists can study these tubes because they can understand what life was like. So we need to think about it now. So these tubes were hollow, they were sterile in the beginning, and then later on, we can say they were full of life. How do we know this? Because scientists use it to study what life was like before. So there has to be life in there later. So Abdullah told me, see, volcanoes can produce stone structure. This is off topic. It doesn't complete this text about studying life. There's only one that completes the text of studying life. Which one is it? Right? Answer B. How does answer B work? The caves fill with microbes, right? Because they're studying what life might be like. So there has to be life in there now. And extreme environments. Well, what is the extreme environment? The extreme environment is under the intense heat of the lava. All right, guys, you guys are going to finish this tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to review it. I want you to finish just under classwork. Domain 1, mixed evidence 4. You guys finish this tonight. Inshallah, tomorrow we will review. Any questions before we roll out? Study hard. You can learn anything. Mr. Sam out. Bye. What do you need, Abdullah? Fadal. No, I'm not add if you reading. I only give homework assignments, for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, Sunday, I don't give homework. Don't break my system. Message me. Bye. Don't break my system. Bye.